Welcome to a Friday Reads, where I talk about what I've read, what I'm reading, what I hope to get to next. I've finished 2 things. I'm in the middle of 2. Nothing's wowing me, but I'm generally in a pretty good space. I've been very productive for my week off, which is nice. So yeah, let's get into it. First, I have finished Shroud. Had some very interesting comments last week that just I think it's just really interesting because I don't think the intention is to come off as patronizing or condescending, but they always do. They always feel that way. When, you get a comment that's well, if you don't like in-depth world building. I'm like, no, that's not my issue. My issue is that it's repetitive. Not that he's detail-oriented, the chemistry, the biology, the physics. It's all really fun. I might actually know too much about those fields because when he explains something to me, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in, I'm down. This is how they communicate. This is how their bodies work. This is why humans can't do XYZ. Cool, down, I'm in. And it's not a lot of cultural world building. It's capitalistic hellscape corporation, corporate dynamics meets this alien entity, which for reasons I won't get into for spoilers, doesn't really have a culture. So it's just really repetitive, and I have no character love to latch onto. And I don't even dislike Juna or June, whatever her name is. She was interesting. I actually kind of liked her perspective. So I think my issue with this book is simply for my tastes. It's too long, and that's for my tastes. And also, I have read a novella. Someone asked me, have I read a novella? Yes, I read the novella Elder Race, and I read that, was it 2022? It was a while ago. It was for the Hugo one year. And it's 200 pages, and it was 50 pages too long for me. It's just my taste. And I think when I have authors that I do like who are repetitive and long-winded, this is not a unique thing to Tchaikovsky. Brandon Sanderson. Too many words, definitely repetitive. He works for me because for my artistic taste, I like the characters. I like the story arcs. I have things to emotionally latch onto. With Tchaikovsky, I don't find the repetition intellectually stimulating, and then I don't have characters I'm latching onto, so I love the thought experiment for 2/3 of the book, and then I'm just I got there. You were great at communicating your point. I understand it. Can we wrap up yet? Especially in this book. It's a journey book across the planet after they inadvertently crash land, which is in the prologue of the book, and we did the same pattern 4 times. Goodness, I get it. We go to a place. We don't know what we're gonna meet. We misinterpret what the thing tells us how to do. We get into some tough shit. We have to get out. We did this so many times. It was not more interesting the 4th time, even if the reason we were about to die changed. Anyway, so I have pacing issues. It's too long for me, but what might surprise you is it's not my lowest ranked Hugo read. And I'll talk about that next week in a Hugo video. I don't think it's a bad work. It's probably middle of the road for me and Tchaikovsky. And, one day, maybe I'll read a fantasy. But I have a suspicion that just, what he wants to focus on and what I like to read are just not, it's not quite a Venn diagram, right? And that's okay. Obviously, he's doing a good job. He's not bad at what he does. I'm just not vibing with it. Anyways, so I read that, and just, mini vent about sometimes how, I just feel people on the internet talk about things. Because, again, I actually never think there's any malice in it or anything like that. I think we all feel emotionally connected to art, and so that can make us feel defensive when people have different opinions. But we all just need to remember that the art is not us. Art is never us, that's just... How we react to art is what makes us human, and humans get to be many different ways. Another thing I finished was the first novella by Lois McMaster Bejeweled in Penric's Progress called Penric's Demon. I'm not going to keep holding this. So the reason, I think I mentioned this in my TBR, that I started this is I don't know why, because if you had told me that I would suddenly instantly drop everything to listen to an audiobook by the guy who does these novellas, I would have been well, what are you talking about? But this man, he narrated all of the Verkosigan books. So I have this weird like attachment to his cadence and how he particularly reads the cadence of Alois McMaster Bejeweled. And so I was like, fine, let's do it. He does not read the third novel in the World of the Five Gods that I haven't read yet, called The Hallowed Hunt. That's the only reason really I haven't read that one yet. And so I got to meet Penric. And Penric's just, he's such a nice guy. I feel like reading Penric, I'm like, gosh, I just don't read many nice guys, do I? So he is a, like, middle child of, like, a small lordship in this fantasy world, on his way to be betrothed to someone, and he's just like, you know, I hope we get along, love to have, like, a chill life. He's just like, you know, such is life, like, I would like to travel more, but, like, this'll be okay. Like, he's very much, like, accepting of life, and, like, grateful for what life gives him. And it's called Penric's Demon. This is a world where people can be, possessed isn't the right word, ridden by demons. Like, demons are a part of this. And if you get a demon, somehow, and you don't get overtaken by the demon, you get to be a sorcerer. It's quite fun. And for reasons, because Penric was being nice, he gets a demon. And what's, like, instantly, how you can tell Penric is just, like, a special boy, and he's just, like, so different from everyone else, is, like, this demon has had 10 to 12 previous owners, and he's the first one to, like, be like, well, what would you like to be called? What would you like your name to be? It's so sweet. He's just so nice and considerate. And yes, is it in his best interest to have a good relationship with an entity that is now in his subconscious? Probably. But he's just a good-natured individual, but kind of gullible. He's a little naive, and, like, that's where the plot gets to show up. And I don't know, I just enjoy Alois McMaster Bejeweled. What can I say? This is definitely, like, an intro. Like, I'm not as obsessed with it as I was after reading, like, Shards of Honor in Verkosgan. But Shards of Honor in Verkosgan was, like, 350 pages, and this was, like, 120 pages. So, different amount of investment. Also, I get to start with Cordelia, and Penric's really sweet, but Cordelia is a competent queen, and Penric is a little bit more like Miles with less of a chip on his shoulder, sort of thing. So that's fun. My other two are actually for the Ursula K. Le Guin Award in Fiction. I am reading Notes from a Regicide. This is going to be my main audiobook now. I am losing motivation. It's not a bad book by any means. I think it's a dual timeline. I think that's what I'm struggling with. So we've got Griffin and his timeline, and then we have his parents' timeline in Stephenport, which Notes from a Regicide is a monarch thing that his parents helped overthrow, presumably. And these are adoptive parents. And I really like the present-day timeline, or not the present day, but, like, the more future of the two timelines versus the Regicide recounting journal timeline. And I think that's where I'm, like, losing steam a little bit. And because it doesn't really have a lot of plot going on at this point. And I like the character connections and developments in the more future timeline. And in the past timeline, I'm just, like, a little less invested in that part of it. So I don't know. I'm not going to pick up another audiobook, so I'll just keep going with that, see what happens. Because I also haven't finished part 1, and I don't know what part 2 might have in store for me. So, yeah, it's very quiet. It's a very quiet story, considering the rebellion and mental health discussion and abuse that happens here. It's very quiet. And then I am reading Midnight Timetable. And I'm in the second story. I forget what the second story is called. I'm almost done with it. Called Handkerchief. Oh, yeah. These are quite chilling. The first one was really, it was truly a ghost story. Like, a novel in ghost stories, correct. Absolutely correct. So if you want hauntings, you want Korean hauntings, and you want a weird workplace institute, yes. So this has been quite good. I just haven't had a lot of physical reading time. So, like, everything I have finished has not been physical reading. So I just haven't sat down to read this. So I should do that. I had aspirations to do that earlier today, and then, I don't know, I had to go grocery shopping, and then, like, putz about. And, like, I don't know, I had a lot of important putzing to do. Okay, I had a lot of things, you know, to not do for hours. Other things, I did watch the new Spider-Man. It was pretty great. Yeah, it's pretty great. It's a pretty great movie. Is it my favorite? Probably not, but that's because I have weird Spider-Man opinions. Like, I have very weird Spider-Man opinions. I think I like all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, just to be clear. I like them all. I enjoy all of them. I think I was really happy we got a high school exploration of the character, because I think that's really fun, and we haven't really gotten to dive into that. And I think this is probably my favorite young adult Spider-Man movie. But, like, that said, I just love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man so much. And I know people love to hate on those movies, but I just love them so much. Like, I really enjoy them. I enjoy the romance part of them. The action scenes are so pretty. So yeah, I have weird opinions. And, like, I appreciate the Tobey Maguire ones more than I enjoy watching them. Like, I watched them a bunch as a kid, obviously. But they kind of stress me out. Like, especially movies like 2 and 3. Like, MJ and him just have such a toxic relationship. It just, like, stresses me out. And also, like, even as a kid, like, obviously we've been using older actors to play high schoolers for a long time. That's not new. I don't actually mind it because I like child labor laws. But, like, Toby never looked young to me. Like, as a kid. It's like watching Grease, and you're like, yeah, sure, these are high schoolers. Right. So, he just, like, I appreciate them because, like, they are truly the superhero movies that allowed other superhero movies to exist, but I don't love them as much. Other things I've consumed, not much, really. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm caught up with House of the Dragon, caught up with Silo. Yeah, I'm rewatching my Avatar Last Airbender. We just watched Secret Tunnel. That's it. So yeah. That's the update. That's the video. I think next time I chat with you guys, I would love to have finished my 2 Ursula K. Le Guin ones. I think that's a reasonable goal. And then maybe have figured out what I'm reading next from my TBR stack that I shared with you on Tuesday. But I don't really know what that's going to be, so let's not pretend. If you just want to leave an emoji to let me know you're here, leave what makes you think of a demon for Penric's Demon. And otherwise, like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.